Hey everybody, welcome back to Goodale Farm. I'm Peter. So today I'm taking a walk, and the path I'm taking today is through the state forest, and come across the utility poles. I had some interesting findings, so I figure I'll share with you. Thanks for tuning in. So here in Connecticut, we get a fair amount of storms that bring down wires and telephone poles. And if you just think about the cost to maintain the poles, the wire, to put them back up, that's a huge expense. Now, we also call these things telephone poles, when in reality, majority of them are owned by the electric company. So here in Connecticut, Eversource owns this pole. That's the pole number, kind of like a unique identifier. And then also, a lot of the poles, you'll see them stamped by the manufacturer around the type of pole, the quality of it, to meet certain standards from a code standpoint. I'm not entirely clear on the economics or the business model of the telephone poles, but I believe other utilities such as the phone company or cable will pay a rental or a distribution fee to the owner of the pole so that they can run their wires across it. This pole here is marked AT&T. So I'm not quite sure if the phone company owns this one and charges back to the electric company. But not all poles are electric company owned, not all AT&T. There might be some cable. That's why if you ever have a power outage and there's a pole down, sometimes it gets complicated. Who do you call? And it's not us, the consumer. We'll call it into the utility, whatever utility it is, and they'll sort it out. And normally they have to wait for the utility that owns that pole to take care of it. Here we were recently charged a delivery or distribution fee every month on our utility bill. And it's really to cover the fixed costs of the poles, the wires, the maintenance, etc. So whether you use no electricity or a lot of electricity, you in effect still get the benefit of all this equipment and mechanics in place in order to deliver the electricity at a moment's notice. And that's what they're charging you back for. No one likes it. I don't like it, but I can understand it. You know, I have a similar struggle when you get a quote from a contractor on a job that intellectually you could probably understand yourself, and the quote seems high. But if you take a step back, that contractor has all the tools, has to pay for his or her overhead, the vehicles, the insurance, etc. None of that you, the consumer, has. So when the quote seems high, think if you had to go out and buy all that stuff yourself, you had to take time off to do the job and deal with any errors, omissions, any problems. If you had to do that, that's all cost you have to incur. A contractor, or in this case utility, they deal with that and charge you that flat fee. Just the way it goes. Here's an interesting setup. Look at that power line. We're making a turn on the road here. And the power lines are a good, gosh, that's like 12 feet away from the pole, extended on that extension rod. Pretty neat. And looking at this setup, the way you see it is the very, very top set of wires are power that's running to a community down way to the left. Now at the very, very top is a cable. That's what you see in a lot of utility pole runs, is there's a cable. It's not carrying electricity. That cable is used to catch any branches or anything that's coming down on the line. That cable will catch it first, hopefully throw it off so it won't hit the lines. And then below, so that's these up top here. Then below, this is more local power for the houses that are actually right on this road. and then you have telecom data running below. You ever see the telephone pole and see the support cables that connect the telephone pole into the ground, and think to yourself, how is that thing keeping that telephone pole stable? There's no concrete foundation. Kind of interesting. So your wonder is over. Here's one. You can see at the very base of the rod itself are these two pieces that work inverse to each other. Now, when they go to drive it into the ground, they are tightly put together as one unit. But as you drive it into the ground and then you go to pull, what happens is they separate, and this piece will then drive into the dirt or the rock or what have you and act as an anchor. Pretty interesting engineering design. For my regular viewers and subscribers, you'll recognize this symbol. That's a tag they put on a pole that is too dangerous to climb. It's fine for the wires, but because of maybe the age or it's too thin, that means do not climb. Hey, while it's on my mind, I wanted to thank my many subscribers, 15 in total. Come on, man, 15? But there's 3 that I know publicly, Eva, Dean, and 325 Walker. So I know who some of you are, but not all of you, but I wanted to say thank you for subscribing. Another thing we like to complain about as consumers is when the utility company comes by and cuts all the trees on the line where the utility poles are. Unfortunately, the public has a short memory. If you think back to the last power outage you had and you're out of power for an hour, 2 hours, all the whining and moaning and, where's the power? When's it going to come back on? Hey, you're the same one that was moaning about cutting the trees down. The more trees we cut down, the more limbs we clear out of the risky areas, the better is the chance you're going to maintain your power. And you kind of can't have it both ways. Here's my suggestion. Especially if you're in a high-risk area, assume the power is going to go out. This way, when it does, it's less stress on you and your family. Prepare ahead of time. Get a generator, or if that's not the route for you, make sure you have enough supplies, water, food. I think we kind of overdo it anyway. But if you're prepared and you go into the situation knowing that it's a likely scenario, you're just able to deal with it more and cut the utility people some slack. They're always doing their best, trying to get done what they can. And they got tight regulations around profitability and economics of running the utility. So they're not taking advantage of any situation. And no one likes to pay those expenses. I don't. But it's just the cost of living these days. If you come upon this type of casing, underneath that is a copper wire. It's a ground wire. So if this pole ever gets struck by lightning or it's a loose wire connection, that's going to carry the power, the charge straight to the ground. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's video. A little bit different, but while it was on my mind and it was information that I thought was kind of interesting, I wanted to share it. So I hope you're having a great day, and we'll catch you next time.